Welcome to Living Your Senior Life, the podcast where we explore everything that makes this stage of life so exciting, fulfilling, and full of adventure. I'm Mark, and I'm here with my co-host, Debbie. And today we are talking about one of our favorite topics, getting out there and exploring. Specifically, we're diving into train travel. And if you've never considered it before, we think you might be surprised at how wonderful it can be. We're covering everything from booking your first ticket and finding senior discounts to the most breathtaking rail routes in the country and how to pack smart for the journey. So grab a cup of coffee, tea, or your water, get comfortable, and let's get started.
Imagine stepping out of your front door for your next big vacation and just immediately giving up all control.
I mean, that sounds terrifying to most people, right?
Right. But just think about it. You have no steering wheel to grip. You have no TSA security lines to calculate.
Oh, the TSA lines are the worst.
They really are.
Yeah.
And you aren't obsessively checking the weather radar, to see if your layover in Atlanta is going to be delayed for 3 hours.
Yeah, that Atlanta layover is always a gamble.
Exactly. So today we're talking about the ultimate travel hack, and it's kind of hidden in plain sight because whether you are like a seasoned globetrotter with a passport full of stamps or you're simply someone looking for a quiet weekend getaway without the massive headaches, we have all run into the exact same wall.
Travel is just exhausting now.
It is fundamentally exhausting.
It really is an endurance test.
Yeah.
I mean, we have culturally accepted that the actual transportation part of travel is just this stressful, highly uncomfortable hurdle. Like you just have to white knuckle your way through it before the actual vacation can even begin.
Right. You prep, you plan, you pack, and then you just try to survive the transit. But today, for this deep dive, we are pulling from a really fascinating resource from Living Your Senior Life.
Yeah, it's a great piece.
It's titled The Senior Traveler's Guide to Stress-Free Train Journeys. And I want to be super clear right off the bat while the title says senior. The insights we are pulling from this are going to completely, fundamentally change how anyone of literally any age approaches travel.
Exactly. Because what we are truly dissecting here are the physiological and the logistical advantages of taking the train.
Yeah.
We're going to break down how swapping out that chaotic, high-stress energy of airplanes and multi-lane highways for the steady rhythm of the rails can actually transform the journey into, like, the highlight of the trip.
I love that idea.
We are looking at specific booking mechanisms, structural train hacks, and psychological strategies that apply to anyone seeking a smarter, just a more humane way to move across the map.
Okay, let's unpack this, because I am incredibly enthusiastic about any concept that actually brings comfort back to travel. So let's start with the massive paradigm shift. Why should you reconsider your absolute default mode of transport?
Well, it starts with the alternatives.
Right, because right now, for most of us, modern airplane travel feels like being shipped as cargo in a straitjacket.
Yeah.
You are crammed in a middle seat, your knees are hitting the tray table, you literally can't move, and you have zero bodily autonomy.
And, if you choose to drive instead, you have this illusion of autonomy, but it's a total trap.
How so?
Well, you are actually hyper-focused. You're navigating traffic, dodging aggressive drivers in your blind spots, and stressing about sudden weather changes. What's fascinating here is the profound psychological relief of deliberately surrendering that specific kind of control to someone else.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah. When you step onto a passenger train, someone else, a highly trained engineer, is entirely responsible for the navigation. They handle the traffic and the weather conditions. You are no longer managing a massive logistical puzzle.
Your brain gets to power down.
Exactly. You instantly transition from being an anxious project manager to just being an active participant in an experience.
That transition from project manager to participant is huge. You're giving up the stress, but you are gaining back your physical autonomy. I mean, on a train, it's essentially like moving your living room across the country.
That's a perfect way to describe it.
Right. The seats are objectively wider. You have leg room you can actually stretch into. And the physical freedom. Like, you can just stand up and walk down the aisle to stretch your legs literally whenever you feel like it.
There's no seatbelt sign pinging at you every time there is a tiny bump. And that physical comfort is deeply intertwined with undeniable logistical superiority. I mean, think about the physical footprint of airports.
They're massive.
They require huge amounts of land, miles of runways, so they're almost always built way out in the distant suburbs.
Oh, yeah, like Denver or Dulles.
Right, so you finally land, you are totally exhausted, and then you still have a 45-minute, highly expensive cab ride just to get to the actual city center.
Which defeats the purpose of a fast flight.
Exactly. But trains, by their historical nature, drop you right in the heart of downtown. These tracks were laid a century ago right into the urban core. You step off the platform, walk out of the station, and you are immediately exactly where you want to be.
And while you are en route to that downtown, you have this incredible fluid balance of privacy and sociability.
Yeah, you really get to choose your vibe.
Right. If you want to mingle, the dining cars and the observation lounges are fantastic places to meet completely random, interesting people from all walks of life.
Which is such a lost art.
It is. But if you just want to sit by the massive window with a book and keep entirely to yourself, you can do that too. The environment respects your boundaries in a way that being physically wedged in an airplane middle seat just categorically doesn't.
So once we accept that the physiological and logistical baseline of train travel is just vastly superior, the natural next step is figuring out how to actually curate that experience.
Because you have to know what you're doing.
Right, because not all train trips are identical. Understanding the distinct types of routes, and more importantly, knowing exactly where to sit on those trains is the difference between a good trip and a totally miserable one.
Let's break down the actual journeys then. We are essentially looking at 3 distinct categories of routes.
Okay, let's hear them.
First, you have your short regional trips. Think under 4 or 5 hours. These are perfect for low-stakes weekend outings. A classic example is the Northeast Regional running between Washington, D.C. and Boston.
Those are great because they're so straightforward.
Exactly. It's incredibly easy to manage because you don't have to worry about overnight logistics, sleeping arrangements, or major luggage.
Then you graduate to the overnight routes, which is really where the true calculated utility of train travel shines.
The sleeper trains.
Right. We are talking about routes like the Silver Meteor from New York down to Miami, or the Sunset Limited stretching from New Orleans across the southern states all the way to Los Angeles.
That sounds like a long ride.
It is, but the logistical beauty here is that you go to sleep moving through one state and wake up in another. You are effectively erasing the need for a hotel for that night.
Oh, that's smart.
Yeah, you're brilliantly combining your transit budget and your logging budget into one single expense.
I love that. And then there are the pure scenic routes. These aren't just transportation. They are essentially moving sightseeing tours.
The real bucket list trips.
Exactly. We are talking major bucket list trips.
Yeah.
You have the California Zephyr running from Chicago to San Francisco, physically carving its way through the Rocky Mountains and the Sierra Nevada.
Or the Coast Starlight.
Yes.
Right.
The Coast Starlight tracing the route from LA up to Seattle, literally hugging the cliffs of the Pacific coastline. Or even the Empire Builder and the Southwest Chief.
But getting a ticket for one of those beautiful routes is only a fraction of the battle. The real strategy comes down to the actual real estate inside the train car.
The seating arrangement.
Yeah, where you sit is a science in itself, and there is a very specific hierarchy to it. For instance, if your trip is over 3 hours, springing for business or first class is almost always mathematically and physically worth the small upcharge.
Really? Just for a few hours?
Absolutely. You get a wider seat, more recline, and generally a much quieter car with way fewer people around you.
Now, if you are sticking to coach, the guide says there are some incredibly practical tactics, especially if mobility or navigating stairs is a concern.
Oh, the double-decker trains.
Right. On the double-decker trains they use out west, you can specifically request lower-level seats right near the car entrance.
That is such a good tip.
It minimizes the walking and completely eliminates the highly precarious task of trying to haul your luggage up narrow, steep stairs while the train is physically swaying down the tracks.
Which is genuinely terrifying sometimes. There is also the strategic maneuvering around table seats versus quiet cars.
Oh, tell me about that.
Well, table seats that face each other are brilliant if you were traveling with your family or friends, but they can be highly awkward if you were seated face-to-face with a total stranger for an 8-hour journey.
Oh, no. Just trying to avoid eye contact the whole time.
Exactly. Conversely, both Amtrak and VIA Rail offer designated quiet cars. These are strictly enforced zones. No phone conversations, no loud music leaking from headphones.
They actually enforce it.
Oh yeah, the conductors take it very seriously. If your primary goal is to read, work, or nap, this is the exact environment you need to target.
But wait, before we get to the premium sleepers, I want to talk about where not to sit. Because knowing what to avoid seems just as critical.
Oh, it might be even more critical.
See, I assumed any window seat was basically fine, but apparently that's a massive rookie mistake.
It is a huge mistake. You need to follow what we can call the golden third rule. You always want to aim for the middle third of the train car. You absolutely want to avoid the extreme front or extreme rear seats of any car.
Is that because of the doors opening and closing?
The doors are part of it, yes. You have constant foot traffic between cars. But the real issue is mechanical.
Mechanical.
Yeah, underneath the extreme ends of every train car are the wheel assemblies. They're called the trucks. When you sit at the very front or back of the car, you are sitting directly above those massive steel wheels.
Oh, so you feel everything.
Exactly. Every time the train hits a joint in the tracks or switches rails, that vibration and heavy mechanical noise shoots straight up into those specific seats. The middle of the car acts as a natural suspension bridge, completely absorbing that impact.
Oh, that makes perfect sense. The middle is suspended. You also absolutely want to avoid seats directly next to the restrooms.
For obvious reasons.
Right. You're going to deal with constant foot traffic, the heavy metal doors slamming open and shut every 5 minutes, and frankly, unpleasant odors as the journey drags on. Not exactly the peaceful living room vibe we're going for.
Exactly. And if you are on an overnight train and coach, avoid seats near the cafe car.
Why is that?
Well, passengers tend to congregate there to socialize and drink, which means you might be dealing with loud chatter right outside your door until midnight or later.
Okay, but my absolute favorite warning here is what is known as the window trap.
Oh, the window trap is brutal.
Imagine this. You book a window seat on the Coast Starlight. You are dreaming of watching the Pacific Ocean roll by for hours. You board the train, find your row, sit down, look to your left, and realize you are staring at a solid blank plastic wall.
The structural supports. It's the worst feeling.
It really is.
The windows on trains are massive, but they don't always align perfectly with the seat rows. There are structural pillars between the panes of glass, and standard online seat maps simply do not show this level of detail. They just show a generic square for a seat.
So how do you avoid that? Do you just have to guess?
No, you don't guess, you verify. The smartest workaround is to check specialized websites like Seat Guru, or dive into specific rail travel forums before you finalize your seat selection.
People actually post about that.
Oh, absolutely. Other passengers meticulously document these problem seats. They will tell you exactly which row has a blocked view, or even which specific seat has a notorious, permanently broken recliner.
Wow.
Taking 5 minutes to cross-reference your seat number can literally prevent 12 hours of staring at a beige fiberglass pillar.
Speaking of things that take a little extra effort, let's talk about the premium sleeper accommodations. You have roomettes and full bedrooms.
The holy grail of train travel.
Right, but I have to push back a little here. Is springing for a sleeper car really worth the massive upcharge? Because those tickets can get incredibly expensive. A coach seat might be $150, but a sleeper could be $800.
The sticker shock is real, I won't deny that. If you view it purely as a point A to point B transportation fee, it seems absurd.
Yeah,
But you have to fundamentally change your accounting. When you book a sleeper car, you aren't just buying a premium train ticket. You are completely replacing the cost of a hotel night in a major city, which easily runs $200 to $300.
Okay, I get replacing the hotel cost, but we're still talking hundreds of dollars on top of that. Are the perks actually good enough to justify treating this like a rolling all-inclusive resort?
That's the exact right way to phrase it, an
Okay.
all-inclusive resort. Because all your meals in the dining car, which are proper, multi-course meals, are fully included in the price of a sleeper ticket.
Wait, really? All meal?
All of them. Plus, you get priority boarding, access to private station lounges, and a dedicated attendant. You are buying a full hospitality package, lodging, transit, and premium food all bundled together. When you subtract the hotel and the meals from the ticket price, the actual transportation premium is surprisingly reasonable.
That is a great way to frame it. And if you are going to book those sleepers, you need to do it as early as humanly possible.
Oh yeah, months in advance if you can.
Right. They sell out weeks, sometimes months in advance, especially during the summer or the peak fall foliage season. And railroads use dynamic pricing just like airlines. As the physical inventory of beds drops, the algorithm automatically specs the price.
It's all supply and demand.
So locking it in early isn't just about guaranteeing you get a bed, it's about securing the baseline price.
Which naturally brings us to the actual mechanics of securing these tickets. Because knowing the best routes and avoiding the wheel assemblies is useless if you bankrupt yourself buying the ticket.
Right. Securing the perfect seat doesn't mean much if you get fleeced by the algorithm. And here's where it gets really interesting.
Oh, this is my favorite part.
We live in this hyper-digital age where we implicitly trust the app. We assume the website is going to optimize everything, automatically applying the best deals. But the ultimate analog booking hack is completely ignoring the website, picking up your phone, and calling a human being at 1-800-USA-RAIL.
This raises an important question about our blind reliance on algorithms. We assume the computer always serves up the absolute best deal.
But it doesn't.
No, because websites are programmed with strict binary rules. If you apply a senior discount online, the code might automatically lock out a seasonal promotion because the system is programmed not to stack discounts.
That's incredibly frustrating.
It is. But when you call, human agents at Amtrak are often using legacy terminal systems. They have access to unpublished discount codes, and more importantly, their systems allow them to manually override those mutual exclusions and stack promotions in ways the web interface simply refuses to do.
Wait, really? I assumed calling the legacy phone line was just for people who didn't know how to use an app. You're telling me the modern algorithm is actually hiding deals from us because of its programming?
Precisely. The convenience of the app often costs you money. A 10-minute conversation with a real person who knows how to navigate the legacy system can easily save you anywhere from $40 to $100 on a single round-trip ticket.
That is wild. And beyond the secret agent codes, there are standardized discounts you have to be vigilant about. Like if you are 65 or older, there is an automatic 10% senior discount on most routes.
You just have to explicitly remember to select Senior from the passenger drop-down menu before you search.
Yes. And there are also major organizational discounts. AARP, AAA, and various military or senior organizations frequently negotiate exclusive rail discounts.
But the vital detail here is that these partnerships fluctuate quarterly.
Meaning they change all the time.
Exactly. The railroad renegotiates them constantly. So even if you checked 6 months ago and your AAA membership offered nothing, you absolutely need to check again before your next trip.
Good to know. And if you were planning a massive multi-city adventure, say, taking a month to see the country, you have to look into the USA Rail Pass.
Oh, the Rail Pass is brilliant.
You buy it for a 15, 30, or 45-day window, and it gives you a set number of travel segments. It's perfectly designed for hopping between multiple destinations without having to piece together 10 different individual, full-price, point-to-point tickets.
But timing your purchase is just as critical as the method. You have to exploit the shoulder seasons. This is late September through early November, and then March through early May.
Because the weather is unpredictable.
Partly the weather, but mostly the economics of rail travel. A train costs virtually the same amount of money to operate whether it is completely full or completely empty.
The fuel and crew costs remain the same.
Right, the fixed costs are massive.
Yeah.
During the shoulder seasons, when general tourism dips, rail companies release their deepest inventory discounts just to ensure those train cars aren't moving across the country empty.
So they basically put everything on sale.
Exactly. If you combine shoulder season timing with a senior discount and you use a phone agent to stack them, you can regularly secure premium sleeper accommodations at what would normally be economy prices.
Okay, so the tickets are booked, we've bypassed the algorithm, and we are sitting safely in the golden third of the train car. Now we have to pack.
The dreaded packing phase.
You've got the cheap ticket. Now don't ruin the experience by bringing massive luggage. Amtrak's allowance is incredibly generous. You get 2 carry-on bags and 2 checked bags. But the golden rule here, keep it light. Just because Amtrak allows you to bring 4 giant suitcases doesn't mean you should.
Exactly. The biggest mistake rookies make is treating the train like a cruise ship.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah, the overhead storage on trains is vastly larger than on planes, but maneuvering a 50-pound hard-shell suitcase down a 20-inch wide swaying train aisle is a complete nightmare. You want a highly manageable rolling bag and a single day pack for your absolute essentials.
And let's elevate those essentials because the specific items you pack dictate your personal comfort zone. You need a good neck pillow, especially if you're pulling an overnight coach.
Oh, absolutely essential.
You absolutely need a lightweight blanket or wrap because train air conditioning is notoriously aggressive and completely out of your individual control.
It can get freezing in there.
It really can. Slip-on shoes are a massive quality of life upgrade too, so you can easily kick them off at your seat and quickly slide them back on when you want to walk down to the lounge car.
And you must pack a high-capacity portable charger. Do not assume you can just plug your phone into the wall.
Wait, don't modern trains have outlets at every seat now? I thought that was standard.
They do, but there is a major technical caveat. While older coach cars have been retrofitted for power, the outlets are often shared between seats, and they are highly subject to voltage drops.
Oh, meaning they cut out.
Right. Every time the locomotive switches track power grids or idles at a station, the wall outlets can temporarily die. If you are relying solely on the wall plug to keep your phone alive for a digital ticket or a map, it is a massive gamble.
That could be a disaster.
It really could be. A portable power bank is non-negotiable. And crucially, absolutely all necessary medications need to stay in your small carry-on day pack, never in your checked luggage in the baggage car, which you cannot access while the train is moving.
Speaking of things that bring peace of mind, we have to mention how accessible train travel has become. Most major stations are incredibly well equipped, but there is a specific, amazing program Amtrak offers called Gap Assistance.
This provides such profound physiological relief for so many people. Stepping across the open gap between a concrete platform and a heavy metal train car can be genuinely daunting, regardless of your physical mobility level.
It's an intimidating gap.
It is. Through the Gap Assistance Program, specialized staff are deployed to physically help you bridge that gap safely with ramps or physical support.
That's incredible.
And the broader logistical point is that you can arrange all this wheelchair access, early boarding, specialized luggage help just by calling the station ahead of time. It is a level of personalized human care that massive commercial airlines rarely, if ever, match.
So we've utilized Gap Assistance, we've made it onto the train safely, and the manageable bags are stowed. Let's talk about actual life on the rails.
The fun part.
Exactly. How do we maximize our comfort and safety once this massive machine is actually moving? Because spending 12 or 24 hours in transit requires a fundamentally different mindset than a quick 2-hour flight.
It really does. It requires building deliberate journey habits. You cannot just sit frozen in your seat. You need to get up and physically walk every hour or two.
Just to keep the blood flowing.
Right. The aisles are specifically designed for strolling. Making your way to the lounge car to stretch your legs is highly encouraged. It prevents physical stiffness, gets your blood moving, and psychologically breaks up the monotony of the trip.
And we have to circle back to the dining car. If you're in a sleeper, as we discussed, meals are included. But even if you are in coach, walking down to the dining or cafe car is completely worth the cost.
His event.
It is. It's an opportunity to get real hot food, sit at a proper table, and engage in the unique sociology of the train. Because they will often seat you with strangers, which forces this wonderful, spontaneous socialization.
And while you are in that dining car or back at your seat, you want to be looking out the window. Which brings up a fantastic strategic tip about the scenery. You can actually research exactly which side of the train will have the most spectacular views.
I wouldn't have even thought of that.
It makes a huge difference. For example, if you are taking the California Zephyr heading west out of Denver, you specifically want to book a seat on the left side of the train.
Why the left side?
Because as the train begins to physically climb the Rockies, the right side is just staring at a rock wall, while the left side offers these sweeping, completely unobstructed drops into the Colorado canyons.
Oh, wow. So half the train is staring at dirt, while the other half gets a National Geographic documentary.
Exactly.
That is the exact kind of insider knowledge that upgrades a trip from good to unforgettable. But alongside the fun scenery stuff, there are some very sensible safety mechanics to keep you confident while you roam around.
You definitely have to be smart about your belongings.
First up, when you do take that stroll to the dining car, use a small crossbody bag for your phone, wallet, and ID. Never leave your valuables sitting exposed on your seat.
It's just basic situational awareness. And when you first board, take 2 literal minutes to actively orient yourself. Note exactly where the nearest exits and restrooms are located in relation to your seat.
Especially on those huge trains.
Yeah, these train sets can be incredibly long, and getting turned around when you are walking back from the lounge car is very easy. Knowing your physical layout immediately gives you a baseline sense of grounding and control.
And what about the bags?
Secure your larger rolling luggage in the overhead bins or the specific luggage racks at the end of the cars, but keep that smaller day pack with your absolute essentials right at your feet.
Now, here is the absolute most crucial pro tip from the entire onboarding section. Set a phone alarm for your specific stop.
I cannot stress this enough.
The conductor will announce the approaching stations over the intercom, but those intercoms are notoriously muddy. If you are taking a nap or you have noise-canceling headphones on to block out the engine hum, it is incredibly easy to completely miss your announcement.
Exactly. Having your own phone physically buzz in your pocket 30 minutes before your arrival acts as a fail-safe backup. It ensures you don't accidentally wake up in a panic 3 states away from your actual destination.
That would ruin the trip for sure. And if anything ever feels physically or socially off, if you feel unwell, or if someone around you is making you uncomfortable, tell a conductor immediately.
They're there to help.
Trains are public spaces, but they are highly managed public spaces. The conductors are fully empowered to help you change seats, intervene, or in medical situations, arrange for EMT assistance at the very next physical stop. You have to trust your instincts.
Absolutely.
So what does this all mean for the listener? We've gone over legacy booking hacks, avoiding the wheel trucks, gap assistance, and setting phone alarms. How do we synthesize all these granular mechanical tips into a broader travel philosophy?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it means that train travel is inherently safe, it is heavily supported by accommodating staff, and it is fundamentally designed for your comfort.
It's just a different pace.
It really is. It does not require the athletic endurance of sprinting through an airport. It just requires a few proactive, strategic habits like researching your structural window alignment, making a phone call to bypass an algorithm, and setting an alarm so you can truly relax. If you execute those few small things, you're virtually guaranteed total peace of mind.
It really is a completely unique rhythm. It elegantly blends the genuine relaxation of a slow Sunday morning with the active adventure of crossing the country.
Beautifully said.
Whether you're taking a quick coach seat down the coast for a day trip, or you've booked a premium sleeper car to watch the Rockies roll by your window, the rails offer something special. You aren't just surviving the transit, you are actively experiencing the journey.
And that leaves us with a truly fascinating thought to mull over. We are so intensely conditioned by modern hyper-optimized life to think of travel time as wasted time.
We really are. We just want it over with.
Right. We view transit as a dark void that we must aggressively rush through at 600 miles an hour just to get to our actual meaningful destination. But if the journey itself transforms into a highly comfortable scenic event, if you actually look forward to and deeply enjoy those 12 hours on the train, doesn't that fundamentally change how we value our own time?
Oh, that's deep.
And perhaps, does it even change the kinds of destinations we choose to visit in the first place?
It's a brilliant question. Because once you deeply realize you don't have to be shipped as cargo in a straitjacket ever again, the whole map opens up in a completely new way. We hope you take some of these specific strategies on your next adventure. Until next time, thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
And that is a wrap on train travel for seniors. We hope this episode has you thinking about dusting off your travel bag and heading to the station. Because honestly, there is something really special about watching the world go by from a train window that you just can't get any other way. If you found this helpful, we would love it if you shared this episode with a friend who might be ready for a rail adventure. And don't forget to check out the full post over at livingyourSeniorLife.com. We have got everything we covered today laid out for you. And as always, until next time, take care of yourself and live your best senior life.